No problem. I think it's really important for people to understand the better you understand the process, the more intentional you can be at where you are in that process to be able to identify what's needed. So, full disclosure, what I like to do is I like to have a strategy session. So, we had a brief conversation, but we didn't really talk about what we were going to talk about. It was really just, well, catching up and saying, well, here's some of the things that I'm doing, here's some of the things that I've been working on. And one of the things I said was, yeah, let's just cover all of that because I think often people get thrown off with analytics and they're not really sure where to start, and they think
Yeah.
it's based on where they are with their business. But there are some overlapping things, and I'd love to be able to cover some of that. Inevitably, whenever we catch up, the conversation goes from wins and horror stories that we see along the way. So let's talk about some lessons from the trenches. I did a little bit of a survey so that I could ask people what kind of things would you like to be able to learn about analytics? And if I could get you some answers, what would be really valuable to you? So I like to start with what common misconceptions do you see when businesses first start looking at their analytics? And how do these shift as businesses grow from startup to six figures and beyond?
That's a really good question. And kind of going back to your original question about what should people know about analytics is first off, analytics is the way that we can communicate with our clients, our target audience, our people online.
Mhm.
It's the way that we can see what they're doing so that we can make changes and respond to them and make that path to working with them much easier. If we were in a store, we could go up and talk to them. We could give them a comment form, all sorts of things. But we don't
Mhm.
have that luxury in the online world. But data is the language that we can communicate with them. So it's extremely important to have that feedback and to talk with the people we're trying to work with. So yes, call me a data nerd, but I'm a data nerd because of what it can do for your business.
Mhm.
It's not about the data itself, it's about what it can do to help you grow your business and have the impact that you want on that. But one of across the board, whether you're starting out or you've been making six figures in revenues, you're up into the seven figures of revenue. If you haven't been looking at your data, that's the first mistake. And there are businesses out there that they're generating six figure, seven figure revenues, and they are not looking at their data, and they end up getting stuck at some point. The growth stalls out, they're not able to respond to the market and what's happening and things like that, and they don't have input why. And so that's where data comes in to be able to help them out of that. Same sort of thing if you're trying to reach that first six figure mark. Data can give you the insights into what your audience is doing, what your market is doing. So the most critical thing is to look at your data and start
Mhm.
using it. The other big lesson from the trenches is what most people do that I find is they go in to look at their data, or they look at their data from a siloed perspective.
Oh,
And
hold on. We're going to get to that. I want to pause for a moment because you said some really powerful things there that I don't want to get lost. So let's go back for a second. So we're not just talking about analytics. We're talking about the results, and the results of here's why you need to look at your analytics. It's not just information that you're gathering for your business. You're also learning about the customer so that you can manipulate the sales process or the customer journey. So the better you understand your analytics and the better you're able to use the information and gather that information, the more you can shorten that sales cycle or secure it in a way that you don't have a lot of fall off. So when people are trying to reach a certain audience, that's great. You might have found them, but how do you get them from that initial introduction to closing that deal and then make sure that you're able to hold on to them from there? So I didn't want to skip over that because there's a powerful, powerful thing in that people say, well, why do I need to look at my numbers? Because if you have a sales cycle that is taking you, let's say, 6 months to be able to close a deal, what if you could do it in three? What if you were able to say, well, now that I know that I can use that 6 months, let me use that 6 months to not just try to get them to the point of buying, but turn them into brand champions. So once they do invest, they're actually telling people about the experience, and that's helping me find more people just like them. I don't want you to undersell what it is that you do, and I wanted to also explain it to some of the early stage people that might not understand why it's so important. Yes, analytics will give you information that you can figure out how to be able to put your messaging and things together in a better way, but The end result, the solution oriented part of you just like giving you brass tacks, looking at your analytics is going to teach you how to be able to work your customer journey in a way that allows you to be able to have that sustainability and longevity. There's a lot of reasons why you do what you do. And I just wanted to highlight that one for the people that may have missed it. And for the people that aren't as into numbers, here's another reason why you should care.
Yeah, along with that is that making that customer journey as smooth as possible, because every distraction, every hiccup, every discrepancy in data, like say for example on one page it says, or on your sales page it says $50 a month, and you get over to the checkout, the payment form, and now you're talking $600 a year. Somebody goes, wait, it was $50 a month.
Hmm.
What's going on here? So now there's a check, and somebody, I'll come back later and do it. So just keeping everything as smooth as possible is all part of that faster journey to working with you.
Absolutely. So here's a follow-up question that wasn't on the list because you just responded in such a great way that I want to ask this question. Knowing that it takes roughly 11 touch points, 11 times for someone to be able to see something before they make a decision on it or they come to a conclusion about that person, how much does that weigh into analytics? If it takes 11 times, doesn't that necessarily mean that it gives you 11 opportunities to learn something new about that person? And the more you learn, the further you can get into that count of 11?
Definitely can, and some of those touch points aren't necessarily on your website either.
Mhm.
They could be on your socials, which is again part of the bigger picture when you're looking at the holistic world of data, bringing everything together. But yes, you can definitely gain insight as to what they're doing in the patterns, the trends and patterns that they're going through, and learn from those and apply those to say even future campaigns or future launches or future whatever, so that if you know this is how your market, your audience, your customers work, how they respond and interact with you, you can incorporate that into your future things so that again you can shorten that time to buy to working with you.